Title: This security guard's final report is a horror story. What you're about to hear is the transcript of a final report. It was submitted by Officer Arthur Coleman, badge number 734, on the day he retired after a decade of service at the Omni Plaza building. It was just sitting on his desk on his last scheduled day, not addressed to anyone specific. This is exactly what it said. Official report. Final entry reporting officer, Arthur Coleman, number 734. Date of filing, July 24th, 2025. Subject: Notice of retirement and decennial review. This is my final report as night supervisor for Omni Plaza. As of 6 a.m. this morning, my 10-year job here is over. Management wants a final summary of my service, so here it is. I can tell you that for 3,652 nights, this building has been secure. I did my job. The doors were locked. The alarms were set. I walked my rounds. Nothing ever got in. But this report isn't about what I kept out. It's about what was already inside. This isn't a report. It's a confession. And it's a warning. I can't, in good conscience, stick to the official record anymore. The one that says my nights here were uneventful. They weren't. 1. The mundane introduction. For the first year, my logs were spotless. They were a monument to the mundane. Log entry: 1/8 August 2015. Standard patrol, all sectors. HVAC system on the 4th floor is making a low humming sound. Told maintenance. All secure. Log entry: the 12th of November 2015. Checked all access points after the evening janitors left. Lobby windows are clean. The smell of ammonia is strong. All secure. Log entry: the 7th of February 2016. Heavy snow outside. The building is quiet, except for the groan of steel contracting in the cold. All secure. It was a good job. Quiet. Lonely? Yeah, but I like lonely. The silence of a skyscraper at 3 a.m. is its own special kind of peace. It's not really silent, of course. You hear its bones settling. You hear the whisper of the vents, the far-off hum of the emergency lights. You get to know the building's voice. You learn to trust it. The problem starts when the building uses a voice that doesn't belong to it. For me, that began in the fall of February 2016. The first incident, the glitch. Log entry: the 21st of September 2016. Sector 7, Executive Suites. Something's off. Found the heavy oak door to Mr. Abernathy's office wide open. I know for a fact I locked that door at 10 p.m. Every door on that floor has a magnetic lock that kicks in at 8 p.m. The security panel showed nothing, no malfunction, no forced entry, no override. It was just open. I did a full sweep of the office. Nothing was out of place. Windows were secure. I relocked the door myself and checked the seal. It was solid. I noted it as a possible electronic glitch and recommended they run a diagnostic on the lock. The diagnostic came back clean. A week later, it was a coffee mug. In the 6th floor break room. I always ended my patrol there, rinsing my thermos in the sink. I'd leave it upside down on a paper towel to dry. One night, I came back an hour later and found it on the other side of the counter, right side up, sitting perfectly in the middle of the table. These were small things, little glitches. You find ways to explain them away. The door probably didn't latch right. I must have been tired and moved the mug myself without thinking. You have to rationalize. If you don't, you go crazy. In a place like this, with the endless identical hallways and the suffocating quiet, your own mind can play tricks on you. I told myself it was all in my head. I was wrong. 3. Escalation and pattern recognition. The glitches started to feel intentional. They started forming a pattern, like a slow, patient conversation. Log entry: the 11th of March 2018, Sector 4, Accounting. Every single stapler on all 40 desks in the main office was propped open, standing upright like tiny mouths gaping at the ceiling. It took me an hour to close every last one. No one was logged as entering the floor. Log entry: the 5th of October 2019. Got a temperature alert on the 9th floor in the archives. That server room is supposed to be kept at a steady 65 degrees. The sensors were reading 34. When I got there, I could see my own breath. My flashlight beam barely cut through this thick, unnatural fog. I felt my way over to the thermostat. The plastic cover was gone, and the dial was cranked as far down as it would go. As I stood there shivering, I heard a sound from the other side of the room. It was the distinct, crisp sound of a single page turning in a book. I called out. My voice was just swallowed by the cold. I swept the room with my light. The aisles of shelves were empty. The sound didn't happen again. I reset the thermostat and got out of there. I didn't write about the sound in the official log. That was the first time I left out the truth. It was around then that I saw him for the first time. I call him the man in the gray suit. He was never really there. He was always in the corner of my eye. A quick reflection in the dark glass of an office as I walked by. A tall, thin silhouette standing at the far end of a long hallway, vanishing the second I tried to focus on it. He never moved, not when I saw him. He just existed. A static image burned into my periphery. Log entry: 20 January 2021. Sector 2, lobby. The cleaning crew said their supply closet door kept locking itself. I went down and watched it. The bolt would just slide shut with a heavy, metallic thunk, all by itself. I'd unlock it, and 30 seconds later, thunk. It happened 12 times. The cleaners, a sweet couple named Maria and Hector, refused to work on that floor after that. I don't blame them. While I was watching that door, I saw him again. The man in the gray suit. His reflection was on the polished marble floor, standing right behind me. Of course, when I spun around, there was nothing there. Just the huge, empty lobby. Over the years, it all started to center on me. It learned my routines. It knew where I'd be and when. Faint whispers would start just as I passed a certain hallway. The sound of footsteps on the floor above me would perfectly match my own pace. It was mocking me. It was a way of claiming ownership. It was telling me this wasn't just its building. I was its security guard. The confrontation. My breaking point was last year, August 14th, 2024. It was the anniversary of my wife's death. It was a quiet, miserable night, and the silence felt heavier than usual. I was in the main security office on the ground floor, just watching the monitors cycle through the 64 cameras in the building. At 3:13 a.m. the monitor for the 12th floor elevator bank went to static. Just for a second. When the picture came back, he was there. It wasn't a reflection. It wasn't a shadow in the distance. The man in the gray suit was standing right in front of the camera. He was tall, so tall his head was out of the frame. He had on a simple, well-tailored gray suit. His hands were clasped behind his back. He was perfectly still. The image was crystal clear. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I couldn't breathe. For 5 years, he was a ghost in the machine, a trick of the light. Now he was real, tangible. He was on my camera feed. I grabbed for the radio, my hand shaking too much to even press the button. Who was I going to call? What would I even say? There's a man on camera 12B who shouldn't be there. And then he moved. He bent forward slowly, deliberately, from the waist until his face came into the frame. I will see that face in my nightmares until I die. It was smooth like polished wax. There were no features, no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just a blank, terrifying sheet of skin. A human-shaped head with nothing on it. Then, as I watched, a mouth opened. It didn't open like a person's mouth. It tore open, a jagged black gash splitting the waxy skin. And from my own desk speaker, the one wired to that camera's mic, a voice came out. It was my voice. "You look tired, Arthur," it said, a perfect copy of my own weary voice. "It's been a long 10 years. The black gash of its mouth closed. The face just stayed there, staring at nothing. I stumbled back, knocking my chair over. I ran. I didn't stop running until I was outside in the cold pre-dawn air, gasping on the curb, the city lights feeling a million miles away. I sat there until the sun came up. I never went back to the 12th floor. Conclusion: I didn't quit. How could I? How do you explain leaving a job because a faceless man in a suit spoke to you in your own voice through a security camera? They'd have me committed. I think, in a strange way, I was afraid to leave him. We had an arrangement, you see. A silent one. I kept his secrets. I didn't talk about the open doors, the cold spots, the whispers. I logged everything as all secure. In return, he let me be. He tormented me, sure, but he never hurt me. I'm retiring because I'm old and I'm tired. But I know this isn't an escape. It's a surrender. I'm leaving my post and he's going to stay. My biggest fear is that I was just the placeholder, the custodian of his home. So this is my warning to whoever takes my place. Don't trust the silence. Don't write off the glitches. The building is safe. Nothing gets in. But something is already here. It's patient. It watches. And it's waiting for someone new to play with. I won't be cleaning out my locker. I won't be turning in my keycard. This report is my goodbye. All secure. Officer Arthur Coleman. If you've got a story you'd like to share, whether it's from a lonely night shift or some experience you just can't explain, I'd love to hear it. You can send it to the email address in the description below. Stories like these are a reminder that sometimes the scariest things are the ones we see when we're completely alone. Thanks for listening, and if you liked this story, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more tales from the dark. Sleep well.